Well, hi, everyone. It is such an honor today to present my extension story with you. I'm Ashley Mueller, and from September 2014 to September 2021, I served as Nebraska Extension's first ever statewide disaster education coordinator and statewide educator. In that time, I worked with my extension colleagues and faculty all across the university, administrators, university peers, and external partners to prepare Nebraskans for and help them recover from disasters. So before I share my extension story with you and my philosophy, I wanted to frame especially how we talk about disasters with some basic terminology. So let's clear some things up. First and foremost, disasters aren't natural. They're not, period. Hazards can be natural. And those hazards includes things that we know really well: floods, drought, hurricanes, wildfires, the list goes on. But disasters themselves aren't natural. Disasters need people. They're socially constructed. How do we know this? This simple explanation right here: hazard plus vulnerability equals disaster. This is it right here. Hazards can be natural, yes, but they don't have to be. And it's important to know that vulnerability manifests itself in many ways. So this explanation may be simple, but my experiences with disasters are anything but that. Vulnerability is inherently packed with complex societal challenges, and understanding vulnerability is critical to addressing these challenges caused by systemic realities. And this is where extension comes in. Extension is meant to be a connector, to be there when people need us, and even when they don't think they need us or know much about us, and to not shy away from the hard problems to reduce those individual and societal vulnerabilities. And my philosophy on extension education is this: that wicked problems don't call for prescriptive solutions. They require collaboration and co-creation for a better tomorrow. Wicked problems require extension to meet constituents where they are and support them when they need it most. So as disaster education coordinator, I worked across all of our extension program areas because, as we know, disasters don't just affect one area of our lives, they affect them all. And because of this, I chose to partner both in my organization and externally whenever and wherever I could. So National VOAD is guided by the principles of the 4 C's. And I approach my position in the same way, using these 4 C's, and that recognizing that any difference making in disasters require people working together. And this is what we in Extension do best. So how did all of this qualify me to share my story with you today? In many ways, I really don't know. I don't feel that my approach was extraordinary, and I certainly didn't use some secret sauce to do it. I just saw needs, recognized vulnerabilities, and knew that I couldn't do it alone. And because of that, I led or was part of efforts that humbled me, but that also made me incredibly proud. I led Nebraska Extension's response to the 2019 bomb, cyclone, and flood, the largest disaster in our state's history. I supported response to other incidents as well. I was my organization's point of contact, and I communicated with our national extension community. I ensured that Extension not only had a seat at the table, but that we were a part of the conversation. And I lifted up my colleagues' expertise and raised the needs of the people that we served. I managed internal operations that increased my organization's preparedness efforts and built capacity through the creation of a statewide disaster team, Nebraska Eden. I oversaw the implementation of the University of Nebraska-Lincoln saliva-based testing initiative for outstate research and extension staff, mitigating the spread of COVID-19 in communities all across Nebraska. Garnering the collective entrepreneurial spirit of Nebraska Extension, I was part of teams that sought and secured funding for projects on food, families, and communities. And I was part of teams that increased our scholarly engagement and our resource library. I was also part of teaching teams that brought needs-based capacity building programs to Nebraska communities, efforts that led those people to creating their own plans and taking action. Because we know that disasters aren't natural. They need people, and they'll continue to happen as long as those vulnerabilities are there. But there is good news here that we, yes, all of us here today, can change the narrative. We can stop calling them natural disasters and just simply call them disasters. And we can also start recognizing those systemic realities and embracing that what we say and what we do, especially in extension, can truly make a difference. We can acknowledge the roles that we play in all phases of emergency management and know that we can catalyze change by collaborating and co-creating solutions. I'd like to conclude by thanking Nebraska Extension leadership for prioritizing disaster education and for giving me the freedom to do what I do best, to lead and be creative. I wouldn't have accomplished what I did without their support, and I wouldn't have done this without the support and teamwork from my extension colleagues, both in Nebraska and through Eden. Over the past 7 years, I grew more than I ever could have imagined. I'm a better educator, communicator, leader, and person. And as much as I like to think of all of the change that I positively impacted, I can't help but think of all of the change that I've experienced because of this challenging yet rewarding work. Thank you.